So let's get back into it. As far as the energy shares. So what I was pretty much breaking down is, a few episodes back, you have three different systems that I'm really kind of singling out here, which was the Dravidian system, from what I've studied, dealing with the body, where the medical system comes from. Then you got the Atlantean system, dealing with energy and things of that nature. And then you have the Kemetic system, which deals with gold, commodities, things, it's like this is gold, things of that nature. So you have that system which deals with commodities. Why am I pointing all of this out? Because these, from my studies, were different venues or different ways that these different economies generated money and finance for themselves. And what you got to remember here in America is that we live in America is privileged in a way where we live in a totally credit-based society because it's predicated based upon fiat notes or treasury bonds, which essentially is on the level 3 type of society, which is how I break it down, which is essentially dealing with credit. That's what you got to understand. So everything is credit. This is going to take us into the YouTube aspect here in a second too. We're going to go into helping you to understand these different channels and views and all of that, based upon all this ancient information, though. As we walk you through this or whatever. So essentially, what happened is that the Atlanteans, like I was saying, if you study their culture, it kind of gives you proof of what I'm talking about. Like, they had more of an advanced culture. They were dealing with essentially like wireless technology. This is the theme of the Atlantean culture from what I've studied. They had a system of wireless technology based upon energy, a way of exchanging energy without wires, though. Not just wireless like cell phone wireless or internet wireless, but they were exchanging energy wirelessly. No wires. This is what made their civilization so great, because they used different portals and pockets of the earth to do it. And that's why, to me, don't get me wrong, the Egyptians had a really nice system set up, and especially the Dravidians with the body. That's a really nice system too, because with that system, you could be somewhere isolated by yourself and still make money. With the body system and still get out of a situation. Like, you could be literally, locked away somewhere. And if you know how to do rituals with your body, this is when it gets deep. You can still break free from certain shit. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that their system isn't great, but then if you're like a free person and kind of rich, you know what I'm saying, and have ways to travel and stuff like that, I would think that, like a statesman or something, in that respect, this is when we're going to go into the Atlantean information. This is kind of like what led me into the ventures that I'm currently on right now. That's why I want to really kind of point this out, because like, the example that I'm going to use is myself. Like, one time, I'm not going to really say when this happened or whatever, but you guys kind of been following my videos, so you'll know, like, I was down and out. It was around the time when I disappeared from YouTube. I'm just going to say that. So I was down and out, like, and I kind of, like, I didn't tell anybody this, but I kind of made the news in my local area. I made the news. Like, I did some stuff. I'm not going to say what it was. Some people may say some bad stuff or whatever, some criminal stuff, where I'm not going to really talk about it. I made the news in a different persona, in a different venue, in a different light, meaning that not as Ramhotep, but as a different straw man. Yeah, I made the news or whatever. So I got put into a situation where my commodities, just to say, I'm not going to explain how, but my commodities were essentially betted up against this particular group of sovereign states. You know what I'm saying? So my commodities were put up as a bet. And if I would have lost the first hand on this bet, you would not have been watching these videos. Let's just say that. I'm not going to explain why or how, but you would have not have been watching these videos. So they put me up, you know what I'm saying, like as a bet or whatever. That's essentially what happened. And I ended up winning the bet with $1, man. Like, check this out. They gave me like one. It was really like $1 at the time. Like, it started out as $1 because I was in a situation I didn't have any currency. So they was like, we're gonna give you $1. So I turned that dollar into getting out of my situation. And later on, that $1 turned into, listen to what I'm saying, turned into one single little energy share, man. It changed my whole life. It changed into one energy share with a particular energy company. And from there, next thing I know, these shares start tripling and multiplying and quadrupling. And I started to learn about the system of multiplication. And this is where I'm going to stop at here because I'll come back up and talk on another time. But this is where I learned about the system of multiplication in dealing with units and numbers and dealing with sports. So this is how I got into sports, and I'm going to stop here. So it's a system, and I'll come back up, with another episode dealing with sports. But there's a system of multiplication of how you can start off with one single unit. If you know how to follow that and track that, multiply that, it could turn into cash. So this essentially, like my man Future and I'll be talking about, this is how I started my free bands program. I don't know how these other guys do it, whatever. They got millions of dollars. I don't know. But I'm saying for me, I started out poor with nothing. It started my free bands program just off of that. Like anything that I'm showing you from that point, when that happened to me, all came from my free bands program or whatever. That's what I call it. Or I'm not really calling it that, but I'm just saying that for people to help them to understand what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? For people that's hip to that hip hop lingo, that'll kind of give you an understanding of, okay, I see what he's saying or whatever. So I'm trying to help you, teach you, on your level, basically, because I got different people watching these videos now that, they're not all on the deep quantum level watching these. I know you got teachers out there that code these bomb algorithms. And I can show you some shit too, and that's what I'm going to eventually do with the numbers and how I play with them. But I do all this stuff in my head. I don't use pen and pencil for nothing. Nothing. None of this has been written down like that because I believe this program is supposed to be passed from mouth to ear. So I can't believe I'm doing it like this. To be honest with you, I can't believe that I'm passing on information from mouth to ear because I always thought I was a written person. But my goal is that when I get this religion going, is I want to be able to write a lot of stuff, like scriptures. I got a lot of stuff that I want to write. So as time progresses, and like I said, really the religion's going on now. I mean, anybody that donates, whatever it is, I consider you a part of it. Like your name's on a roster, you're part of my trade list. We get perks just for making donations to 13 Signs Astrology at Gmail through PayPal, at gmail.com through PayPal. Number 13 Signs Plural Astrology at gmail.com. At PayPal, you can donate anything at any time. And you're automatically part of the list based upon the units and the number that you donate. I trade based upon that unit and number. And that's what I'm going to kind of talk about this contract that I'm into on the next episode based off of these cats that gave me a couple of donations. I call them readings, but they're really contracts based upon this quantum multiplication way that you use single units and multiply them. You can just take one, turn that shit to like whatever. So that's what happened with me. So like the Atlanteans, they use energy shares. So I used one share, man, and started learning about this energy program and started doing some earth rituals or what I would call going to sacred spots and making and connecting what's called a grid from going to different sacred spots. And I was able to turn that one share into like all of these multiple shares, right? Like within a short period of it was less than a year. Next thing you know, I done found out about these other ancient spots across the globe out west that I got to go back out to. That's going to be a part of this journey. Hopefully, I don't know how it's going to happen because this is going to be long, man. These string of videos I'm making here, this is going to take a while. This little story I'm making here because, as you guys know, I kind of took a bookmark every time I go back to Ohio. I kind of put a pin in it and take a bookmark. So this is really like going into another phase, like everything I did last year or this year, really in 2021. Once 2022 hits, that's going to be in the past. That's going to be a part of a different cycle. So these videos that started up, like I'll say within the past month ago, this is all part of a new story. Going into a new story. So you can start with the beginning for those people, that want to start from where I'm at. Watch the beginning, the video entitled "The Beginning" or something to that effect. I don't know what they're titling them. And people have been telling me about these comments. I'm going to make a video about that too. But I don't know what's going on with a lot of this stuff. I'm just dropping information at this point. Because you guys got to remember, I monetized over $1 million. So I got $1 million worth of problems and people coming at me on different levels. So I got a lot of shit to worry about, a lot of shit on my mind at all times or whatever. So, but back to the point that I'm going to shut down. So like I was able to set up a grid, right? And from this grid, essentially what was able to happen is I was able to connect different sacred spots and turn this into a form of a currency. And I'll explain as time goes on how I was able to do that. So this is all a part of what I call the Atlantean program, man. I'm going to go ahead and shut down and come back up soon. As always, stay vigilant. I'll be recording for a minute. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, catch you guys up on. So, hotel.